Welcome everyone to the English class. Today we will discuss one very interesting story, that is a strange wrestling match written by Indira David. And this particular story is an abridged form of Rajasthani folk tales. Okay? The title of this story is very much interesting, isn't it? A strange wrestling match. Strange means odd, peculiar. Wrestling means to wrestle, where someone fights with another, right? As a part of game or match. So wrestling and match. So kind of peculiar wrestling match, right? I will basically tell you the story in brief in this class, right? So to introduce the story, I must say that this lesson tells a story of a boastful wrestler, a wrestler who would boast, okay, who was trapped by his own faults. He took a challenge to visit the haunted desert inhabited by a ghost. An old woman gave him a few things which helped him to fight back the ghost. But at the end of the story, he realized his mistakes, and the haunted desert was no longer a haunted place for the villagers. These are the storylines, right? Now, I will tell you the story in brief. Okay? So, this story has two parts. The first part, the wrestler C.B.S.E. is introduced as a very massive shouldered and muscular wrestler who could defeat any other wrestler. Right? That's why everybody believed that Vijay Singh, the famous wrestler, was undefeatable and no one could defeat him. Right? But Vijay Singh was a bit boastful at times and used to show up. Right? So that was his weakness, that he was often troubled by his boastful nature. Okay? That was his shortcoming. He was fond of boasting. Right? Once he declared he wished to meet a stout ghost. So one day, after drinking many glasses of milk, he proclaimed that he could teach a lesson even to a stout ghost. Stout means very much powerful ghost. The listeners reacted, those who were listening to him, reacted differently. Some gave their acceptance, while others had an apprehension to what he said. Okay? One of them suggested that one of his admirers confirmed the haunted desert, which was 10 miles away to the west of the road to Jaisalmer. So, one of the listeners suggested to visit the haunted desert, and there he could surely meet with a ghost. Travelers were looted and killed. He took it upon himself to find a ghost. He was told to make a road journey to Jaisalmer, which was 10 miles away. To the landmark was a black rock. So he decided to go to that haunted desert. Okay? Then we will see that. So set out to find a ghost in the haunted desert. Then an old man gave him a small packet containing an egg and a lump of salt. There was an old man, an eccentric old man, who old woman who gave him a small packet containing an egg and a lump of salt. However, Vijay Singh didn't know the utility of these things, yet he moved ahead after taking those items, right? An egg and a lump of salt. Okay, then when he was going, it grew dark, and when he reached there, the haunted desert, it grew dark. He was called him by the name and pretended to be his friend, not a word. Means he met a ghost, right? Means actually a man, and that man presented him as his friend, not a word. But Vijay Singh realized that it was not his friend but a ghost. He was detested at all, but called him to size him up. And when he showed up, Vijay Singh declared that he was just a plain lying ghost, and the ghost was turned at his behavior. Otherwise, people got scared and were amazed to hear that the man wanted to meet a ghost. Right? They were conversing, they're talking, so they were just showing off. Now, when he asked the reason of this lookout of his ghost, Vijay Singh called him stupid. Vijay Singh told him that he wanted to fight a ghost as he had tried of fighting with men. Since he was tired of fighting with men, the ghost tried to demoralize him by saying that he didn't seem to be that strong. So Vijay Singh challenged him to give him a demonstration of his strength. Right? So then we will see that the ghost will be surprised after the demonstration of the Vijay Singh, right? So then what will happen? That Vijay Singh will show a demonstration of his strength by crushing what the ghost thought was a piece of rock, right? And that ghost avoided wrestling about with Vijay Singh but decided to conquer him through cheating, right? So he was surprised, right? So to challenge the ghost, he gave a piece of rock to him to squeeze liquid from the rock. The ghost tried but failed. Vijay Singh stealthily looked out for an egg from his pocket, okay, and exchanged it with the rock and pretended to break it with force. So when he gave the ghost a rock, but when he was breaking, he broke that egg, and also yellow oak oozed out, and that cracking sound similar to the sound of stone cracking, right? So, and also again to verify, the ghost was surprised. Then to verify his power, again the ghost asked to cross, right, any other stone. Then again he just replaced the stone with the salt, and he just demonstrated, and the ghost was surprised. The ghost began doubting his ghostly powers. Almost half of the battle was won by the Vijay Singh. The ghost invited him to take rest in his place, right? So then again, to take rest in his place, right, and to eat, to dine with him, right? And then Vijay Singh gave one challenge that what only he can only if the ghost agrees to go with him to his village, then he can go to eat with him, right? And the ghost accepted the condition, yet vowed to kill Vijay Singh in his sleep. Right? Then the last part, very important. So Vijay Singh, the ghost killed to planned to kill Vijay Singh, right? But Vijay Singh understood. Then he kept awake at night. Okay. So means the ghost fed him with dry fruits, milk, provided him the comfortable bed to sleep. Jason didn't trust or the that hospitality, that welcoming of the host, and placed a bolster in the center to make it appear like a sleeping man. Right? He hid himself in a dark corner, and the host attacked him with a stout club and hit hard on the bolster 7 times. And when the ghost went back to sleep again, he quietly slipped into the bed. In the morning, he groaned and complained that there was an insect in the cave which troubled him 7 times by flapping their wings. So those seven attacks were kind of flapping of the wings. The ghost grew panicky and realized the ultimate power of such formidable wrestler and left his fortune. Vijay Singh returned back to the village with an huge kind of wealth of the ghost. Right? So this is about the storyline. Right? So actually, Vijay Singh cheated. Okay. So deceived the ghost by the trickery. Okay. That's all. Hope you have enjoyed.